It's hammer time!
Hello guys, it's Steel here again after another entire week spent modding. Oh, it's such fun. Right, okay, in this video I'm going to be telling you all about the new update for Ultimate Chaos. Yes, there is another one, and no, it doesn't break your campaigns. And along with some of the other stuff I've been working on this week, which should all be out by the time you guys see this video, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's sort of dive right in. You can see I've got my mod list here, and I've got the models and texture pack obviously loaded, ready. And so here we go. Here's some of the submods that I'm going to be releasing this week. Now, you guys are probably familiar with the proper starting units mod here, but that's all been changed. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we'll get on to the other mods in a minute, but for a minute we'll just turn that one off. Okay. Obviously, I've got the release candidates, which aren't out yet, but will be when he does it. This one here is basically the release candidate for the starting units. This is what I'm going to show you first, the changes with that. So, let's roll. Okay, now hopefully the video hasn't cut out when I'm loading the game, because I haven't actually tried this yet. Ah, right. Well, hopefully you can see this. As you can see, this is one of the first changes with the main mod is the start screen. Yeah, I think you'll agree. It looks pretty swish. It gets kind of better though. You can actually change the theme at the bottom. It does override the base ones, unfortunately. There's no other way of doing it, which is a bit of a shame. But there you go. You now, well, apart from this one, I kind of like this one. It's chaosy, so I kept it. But you can see now that there's a whole raft of different nice themes to choose from. So, I don't know, you can pick your favourite. I guess this is my favourite, so I think I'm going to go with this. So if we're going to jump into a new campaign. Trusty Warriors of Chaos. I've only launched this screen about 500 times in the last week. So, yeah, nothing new here, except that I fixed that glitch with there being 2 Dragon Ogres, so now you do actually get Corn Berserkers. Sorry about that. Right, so if we jump into a game with Sigvald here. Right, okay, so we can skip this. Alrighty. Now obviously the starting units mod was a very, very simple one. Just added starting unit, so let's see what new things have been added to this one. So we can just skip the tutorial straight away. Well, the eagle-eyed of you might actually spot this right away. Oh, actually, maybe not, because looking on my video screen, it actually appears to have cut the bottom of the screen off. It's interesting. I think I'll have to look into that. But even though you can't see it, there is actually an icon there for offices now. So as you can see, you've got Archon up here, proving to be like the ultimate badass, and you've actually got all these different offices now. So these are all new, and you can assign your lords to them. So you've got the Arch Heretic office. This one is basically commander of all the Chaos cultists, and these are specific in the kind of lords that you can appoint to them. So, for example, this one here, I believe that you can appoint basically anybody to this position who isn't a greater demon. So you could have Sigvald as your arch heretic, or you could have an undivided lord as your arch heretic, or anybody really. The Herald of the Gods, the voice of the dark gods. This one can only be occupied by greater demons. Unfortunately, I can't show you that, because if I pick up a greater demon right now, as you'll see if I like go and get one. So probably won't roll me one now. There we go. We get like a lord change. And we get back into our offices. You can see that they're all locked, but the reason for that is I haven't got the right ranks yet. Oh, but there you go. There's one of the tooltips. You can see it right there. Demons cannot be arch heretics. So there you go. Yeah, and only greater demons can be heralds of the gods. There you are. So if we get off that, we can go back to what they do. So your Herald of the Gods, bigger aura size for your greater demon, because, you know, everybody listens to him, and better demons in your army. Pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it very well in the video, but they've actually got all the neat little icons for all the different Chaos gods. How cool is that? You know? And then you got your chosen of the various gods, which basically gives your character a ward save, makes them a little bit tougher. Guys of that god like to gather up to them, so reduces your upkeep a little bit. I mean, these changes aren't really massive, like these, you know, it doesn't make a huge impact. It's just a nice little touch. And one of the really cool things as well is it actually gives you the title. So if you have like your guy running around, he's now like, I don't know, Evil Lord Darkheart, the Chosen of Siege now, which is pretty cool. And it is worth noting as well that you have to be the right god to be appointed to the office. You can't have like a Khorne Lord being the Chosen of Siege for obvious reasons. You can at this time of, well, speaking, however, assign undivided lords to any of these, because at the moment they can have any marks you want. So if you want to be silly about it, you can have an undivided lord, give him a mark of Khorne, and then make him the Chosen of Siege. And, you know, it's something I might code in to stop people prattling around later time, but right now it's not really a priority because, well, if you're going to be a jackass, that's up to you if you want it. Yeah, play the game lore breaking. But I hope you like the screen. Obviously, the screen's got all new graphics. I mean, the eagle-eyed of you might spot Hemrich's cape as the main background that's sort of been kind of redone. But I think it looks a lot better than that, rather than naff Empire Office's background. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Basically, that's it for the starting units mod, because it is a very, very simple, very, very small mod. So that's pretty much it as far as that goes. Right, okay, moving on then. So we can untick that one now, and we can showcase a different one, which I've been working on, which is the Ultimate Chaos Cooperative mod. Now, as some of you may know, I actually designed this mod so that I can play cooperative for a half. So it's been a race against time to get this all ready in time for the kind of epic campaign that we're going to do over the next week or so. So anyway, enough talk about that. Let's talk about the mods. Right, so let's get in game, and hopefully this time it won't cut off the bottom half of the screen. Right, here we go. So we jump into a new campaign now. What's this? Look! Hordes of Chaos. Right, the purpose of this mod, in case none of you have guessed yet, is it's a faction unlocker, and I'm sure you guys are really familiar with these. I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name, it's like Krynosis or something. But he does a lot of the faction lockers on the Steam Workshop. He's unlocked things like, well, everything you can imagine really, Kislev and so on and so forth. He actually gave me a hand with this. I did this way back to unlock 2 vampire factions before CA did, so that me and my kid could do vampire co-op campaigns. But I kind of forgotten how to do half of it, so he gave me some great pointers in developing this one. Otherwise it would have took about 3-4 more days at least. But anyway, enough talk, let's get in there. So the idea behind this is not to actually be played in single player, really, although you can do. I noticed there was a comment on my forum about somebody wanted to do a co-op, and the current Chaos co-op mod on the workshop didn't work with Ultimate Chaos, or at least it didn't work very well with Ultimate Chaos. That's because there's so many changes to the Chaos faction that it just simply wouldn't work. Well, cooperative is something I really like doing. So even though I've already stated I'm not making my mod compatible with other mods specifically, as I've stated many times on the forum, because I have to at this point, I have decided to release a bunch of official submods that are completely compatible, and this is one of them. So basically, in a nutshell, it allows you both to play as Chaos, starting right next to each other more or less, and you can both utilize all the stuff that's in Ultimate Chaos. It works for both hordes. So really cool idea. Some of you might have spotted I've actually got the difficulty turned down to easy here. There's a reason for that. It's because when I'm testing it, I don't like being attacked by huge 20 stack armies, but I strongly strongly recommend that you bump up your difficulty to very hard, at least when playing with Ultimate Chaos, because the units are so tough that you need a challenge. But we'll get to challenge in a minute. Let's talk about this new faction. You see, it would be very, very easy to just unlock the faction and give it Sarathol, like that's the Lord of Change from the campaign, as the general, and bosh, off you go. But I thought, that's already kind of been done with Chaos Cooperative, and I really didn't like that idea because, well, you know, Ultimate Chaos has already got Exalted Lords of Change, so there's nothing really special there. So I've created a brand new Legendary Lord to lead this faction. And unfortunately, I can't give him a custom video, and actually that is very nearly possible, by the way. I've looked into that. The only thing that stops you doing it is that you can't export a video into the CA VP8 format that Creative Assembly are using. They've got some very specialised codec or something in-house that they're using, and it's not released anywhere else. But I do actually know how to change these videos in-game now. It's just we can't, unfortunately, create new ones because we don't have the export. But anyway, enough about the technical stuff. Let's check it out. So he's a Nurgle Sorcerer Lord. He doesn't actually look like Malagor over there, but we'll get to that in a minute. And he starts with Nurgle units. So you can see you've got Nurgles afflicted here. Got 2 of those. A Plague Cannon and some Plague Reapers of Nurgle. And you can see he's got a special Lord trait here. Minus 50% upkeep for Nurgles afflicted. And bearing in mind, that's not just in one army, that's faction-wide. Now, combined with his Nurgle upkeep reducing abilities, and the fact that if he's a follower of Nurgle, he gets another upkeep reduction on top of that, you could virtually have legions of Nurgles afflicted for free. Go mass plague zombie invasion. And he also gets a rank for Chaos Sorcerers as well, just because. Right, so, let's jump in game. So you can see you got a little bit of blurb about him here, which I made up. So let's get in the campaign map and take a look at him. Hopefully he won't be invisible or have 4 heads or something. Oh, there he is. He's looking good.
The Dark Prince desires destruction and...
Right, okay. Yeah, unfortunately the intro guy is speaking about the wrong lord, so we'll shut him up. Right, let's take a look at him. He actually always looks like this. He's not a variant. He kind of always is this way. He is an immortal lord, so if he dies, doesn't matter. Right, okay. So he's a sorcerer lord of Nurgle, and he has some unique abilities. So let's take a look at him and hope the screen doesn't chop it off. Ah, it doesn't. That's good. So what he is here is he's like a combination of a Nurgle Lord and a spellcaster. So you can see that unlike most spellcasters, he's actually got a combat tree. But you can also see that it's shorter than it normally would be for Lords. He has less ability, so in this case he's missing the one that gives you extra armor. Now, about this point in the skill tree is normally where you have your first special power. In the Nurgle's case, it's regeneration. You can see he doesn't have that. He's got power drain instead. And over here is where you'd have stream of corruption, and he's got arcane conduit. So there's a few changes there. Makes him less good in melee, as you might expect, and a bit more of a spellcaster. Normally, you'd obviously start with your list of spells up here and be putting points to them. Well, he gets those from his marks of Nurgle, as we can see down here. As you level up his sorcerer marks of Nurgle, you unlock the spells. So they do actually unlock faster than a traditional wizard. One of the downsides to that is when you go to your very first battle, level 1, he doesn't actually have any spells. You need to put at least 2 points into the Mark of Nurgle before he actually can begin to cast. So he starts off as kind of a bit of a noob, I suppose. He has a trait, the Favour of Nurgle, gives him plus 8% hit points. Oh yes, and as for this Lord of the End Times business, I'll get to that in a minute, right, but that's an irritating bug I can't seem to get rid of right now. Anyway, back to the skills. You can see that he shares the main super kind of skill for Nurgle Generals, and he has Cloud of Flies and Swarm of Flies, but he's missing the 2 Nurgle really nasty ones, which is the big green explosion when you're in combat. But that's because he's not really meant for melee combat. He does have one big advantage over a Nurgle Lord though. He can ride a dragon. And yeah, it works. It took me 4 hours this morning to get that crap to work. So, yeah. So he's the first lord that you can actually put on a dragon. And no, before anybody asks, I'm not doing everybody else right now. I've got other things in mind. Right, and he has a special battle skill too. Gifts of Nurgle. This is a new one. And it improves Nurgle's Afflicted. So when you combine this with his ludicrously cheap Nurgle's Afflicted, you could have serious hordes of plague zombies coming over the hill, and they'll be nasty. And his battle skills have been modified slightly too. He's got like this premonition, so he can like see things coming, because, you know, he's a wizard. Apart from that, he kind of has less hit points than a standard Nurgle Lord. He does a bit less damage as well. But he is, like I said, immortal, so you can just keep killing him and he keeps on coming back. So even though this mod is designed for cooperative, you can actually play it single player if you fancy a new legendary lord. There is one irritating bug with it though, which is unfortunate. The offices don't work, and as you can see, it's appointing him as Lord of the End Times, even though Archon's supposed to be in charge. I haven't managed to eliminate that one yet, but it's not a game-breaking bug. It doesn't really affect anything. It just means, unfortunately, you can't use the offices. Which actually brings me on to a very good point. This mod is not compatible with the proper starting units mod. It does everything that mod does anyway, it's just it adds this extra faction too. And while we're on the subject of unfortunate and crazy side effects, it does have one, which is rather irritating, but it shouldn't affect most people. If you go into game as Chaos, it actually spawns the other, like, cooperative faction as well. There doesn't seem to be a way around this. So basically, if you want to play it single player with Chaos, run the starting units mod. You can shut up and all, right? If you want to play, you know, single player, but you want to use this Lord guy, then you can run the co-op mod and just play it single player as Hordes of Chaos. Did I clone them victory conditions? Oh yeah, of course I'm logged in as Archon. I actually can't remember. Maybe. I'm not sure. I think I did. But yeah, it's worth noting that if you start as Archon, he actually is here too. Can we talk to him? Oh, we can. We're not actually allied, and apparently he hates our guts. So if you were to do this, you'd probably end up fighting him like on turn 1. Maybe some of you guys could try that for fun. You know, just to see what happens. Right, okay. So yeah, one side effect there. But you got to bear in mind that the mod is designed for cooperative. So, you know, which hasn't actually been tested yet because I've got nobody to test it with at the moment. But if we were gonna create a game, hopefully should be able to select both factions and all will be Jingos, hopefully. Well, it's on there, so that's a good start. And yeah, more Hordes of Chaos are there, and Hordes of Chaos are there. Yeah, well, you know, fingers crossed, should work. I'm going to test that one out later. Right, okay, moving on. The third mod is not really something I can kind of really showcase you, to be honest, without playing the game. It's something that you're actually going to have to sort of see and mess about with yourselves. So, go through my list. Blah, 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 blah. All the other stuff I've coming up with. Right. The third mod is an AI booster. And I'll talk a little bit about this. Basically, I think the AI in Warhammer sucks, frankly. It's cowardly. It never engages you. It always runs out of range. It's a complete and total irritating wuss. So when I play the game, what I tend to do is simply give it such massively crazy advantages that it basically swarms you with units and then it attacks you. And I also run another mod which allows you to basically siege something instantly. And it basically attacks your settlement no matter what. It doesn't starve you out or anything. Well, this mod is kind of a combination of all of those, except that it doesn't make the AI crazy anymore. Well, actually, no, I'll rephrase. It makes it crazy, but it doesn't give it stupid amounts of units. The AI mod is designed for when you are playing as Ultimate Chaos as a Horde army. Because you don't have any walled settlements, it eliminates one of the downsides to this AI mod, and I could talk literally for days about this, so I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible. Basically, the AI will attack you even when the odds are really heavily in your favor. And you might think, well, that's just stupid. But if you try this out in practice, what it means is this. If the enemy have a 20-stack Empire army, and you have a 20-stack Ultimate Chaos army, in the original game, what will happen is a 20-stack Swordsman army, for example, will run away from you, always staying just outside your attack range, until it gets in the situation where it overpowers you about 4 to 5 men to once. So, unless there's literally like 4 stacks of them, they won't attack you. Especially if you have top tier units like Khorne Warriors, Bloodthirsters, things like that. The AI would just simply never attack you, so it becomes a game of you just chasing them around the map forever, waiting for them to stop, basically, or to hem them into a corner. That's boring. Well, what this mod does is it gives them a few tweaks, but basically they'll throw that army at you. And then they'll build another army, and they'll throw that at you, and they'll keep chucking armies at you. Now, because of the way the auto-resolver works in the game, something you can't really fix with modding, you can simply auto-resolve most of these fights and win massively. But if you actually play the battles, you lose a lot more men, generally, than the auto-resolver will take away from you. And what happens is, they actually wear you down really, really fast. Like, when a say 15 swordsmen and 5 crossbowmen army comes to get you, you might beat it convincingly, but it wrecks your units over time. And bearing in mind that practically everybody on the map is out to get you, so there's almost always a 20-stack army behind that one, you find yourself fighting, you know, a large army every turn, every 2 turns, and they beat you back through sheer weight of numbers. But it does, of course, mean you get to wade through vast numbers of enemy troops with all of your cool spells and abilities and monsters and things. So I really recommend that you guys actually give this a try. And just bearing in mind that the auto-resolver is not your friend. It will ruin the game for you. It will make it far too easy. So the next time a 20-stack army comes up to you full of swordsmen or halberders or something, you think, I can beat that easily? Fight it. And just see just how much damage it does. I mean, I had a 20-stack Slanesh army I was testing this with, and I actually had to retreat on turn 30 odd out of Kislev because I'd just been attacked by like 15 swordsmen, 5 crossbowmen. There was another like 15 swordsmen behind that, and there were like 2 more full 20-stack armies of another faction, I think it was Nordland or something, behind that. And by the time I'd killed all those swordsmen and everything was like 3/4 dead. I was like running around with hardly any health at all. So give it a try, and it might work out really well for you. But one of the side effects, like I said, with that mod is if you play a normal faction like vampires and you use that mod, you end up with these like 15 swordsmen trying to siege Drakenhof and stuff, but they got no chance whatsoever. But it works really well against horde armies. It's god-awful against vampires. Right. Okay, right, that's the 3 main submods I've talked about. Now, what about the main mod? What have I done to the main mod? Well, being as I've been up for like 19 hours now trying to get all this together, and oh my god, I've got to go in town an hour and buy my wife a present. Okay, let's get through this quickly then. Right, here's the changelog. So, basically, in a nutshell, you get nice new artwork. We've seen that, that's cool. You get compatibility changes to make it co-op. Yeah, that's cool. And you get a new legendary lord. Yeah, okay, great. Balance. Right, okay. I read the forums. Nobody can say that I don't. I do. And so the Pink Horror's flaming attack's been nerfed in range a bit. And there's been a couple of tweaks here and there. There's been some bugs with the Nurgle spells, fixed all those. I was playing a Zeech campaign to try it out. I've only actually played this mod about 2 hours. And the blue fire was just amazing fun, but utterly ridiculous. So I've had to reduce the damage on that. Let's have a look. Oh yes, indestructible, great unclean ones. Yes, I hear you. I haven't actually played with them myself, but yes, okay. Adjust their regen. Well, guess what? They don't have any regen. No, what it is they're Nurgle spellcasters, so every time they cast a spell, they're getting loads of hit points back. So what I've done is I've adjusted the amount you get from the passive hit point regen right down. It's like less than halved. And I've increased the amount you get from the actual Nurgle heal spell. So now, hopefully, they shouldn't be quite so indestructible. I mean, if it turns out they're still really, really indestructible, I'll give them their own versions of those spells and turn them down even further. Okay, let's have a look. Oh yes, the Chaos Knights skipping around in their saddles. That was actually caused by mount scaling, so that's been fixed. Huskarls don't have invisible shields anymore. That's been fixed. I was absolutely gutted to see that the Exalted Lord of Change porthole was messed up in the campaigns, especially when I spent so long fixing it, so that's now fixed, and it should also fix Sarathal, but I have no idea if it does or not. Just a few glitches here and there, some problem with the Cult Master's spell, and that's about it really. So that's kind of it for this week on what I've done with Ultimate Chaos and all the submods. So you guys can dig into this. I know I'm going to be having a campaign in it, which will be fun, I hope. Yeah, that's really kind of it for now, and I'll produce another video soon, I guess. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the new mods.